everyone. Good morning. Today is a glorious day because this is the day we pass legislation to transform policing in America. This year, I have the honor and the privilege to chair the Congressional Black Caucus. Next year will be the 50th anniversary of the CBC, and 49 years ago, the 13 members of the CBC were leading the fight in Congress to address the long-standing history of police abuse in the African American community. In 1972, Representative Metcalf led the way in developing an agenda to reform policing in black communities. It is in their memory and it is on their shoulders that all of us stand today, not just the Black Caucus, but the entire Democratic Caucus as we join together to finally bring about the change the founding members of the CBC valiantly fought for. Although black Americans have had to deal with police abuse, murder by police officers, since policing began in the United States, it was not until the advent of the cell phone camera that the stories of police abuse were finally exposed to the world. Before then, the deaths were simply disregarded, not believed, not acknowledged. But just as it took news camera coverage of the civil rights protests in the 1950s to reveal to the world the violence that was commonplace when African Americans attempted to exercise their constitutional rights, the cameras exposed the reality that the right of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is not guaranteed to all African Americans at all times. Policing was just not questioned. But now, the world knows about the private ritual in African American families, the rite of passage from childhood to adolescence, passed along to each generation since our arrival on this continent, a rite of passage to all boys and to most girls, known as the talk. When encountering police officers, make sure you behave. Make sure you do as you are told, no matter how humiliating, because if you don't, you might not survive. In my city in Los Angeles, young black men know to assume the position when told to get out of the car by police officers. Police officers joke and say that's because they are LAPD trained, because they understand that assume the position means hands up on your head or drop to kiss the ground. Assume the position, assume your place. But on May 25th, 2020, our world changed. This time was different. This time the video just couldn't be questioned. The slow murder of George Floyd that took place over 8 minutes and 46 seconds was just not up for speculation. Prior to this gruesome murder, some even questioned cell phone videos. Well, we don't really know what happened before the camera was turned on. Well, what did he do? What crime did he commit? Because I've never experienced anything like that. An officer never treated me like that, so he must have done something to deserve to be killed. Not this time. This time, hundreds of thousands of people in every state in the Union are marching to make sure that he did not die in vain. His death will not be just another black man dead at the hands of the police. Sadly, people around the world are marching for human rights in America. The United Nations has held discussions about human rights in America. We are supposed to be the beacon of hope for human rights in other countries, and the Justice in Policing Act is a bill for human rights in our country.